Greetings Traveler, Challenger here, and welcome to 2026. Today we are playing Diablo 2 Resurrected as a Druid and using Fire Claws Werewolf, together with Naje's Ancient's Vestiges set. That particular skill was never ever used by me in all those years of playing, and only part of the set I really used was the staff. So without further ado, let the challenge begin. Rules. Playing as Fire Claws Druid, using Naje's Ancient Vestiges set as soon as possible, using charms and sockets, run ends with killing Bale on Hell. This is hardcore run, 1 life, no deaths. Naje's Ancient Vestiges is very peculiar set. It has only 3 different pieces: helmet, body armor and staff. And to fully equip it you need level 78, which is quite mental, but also the first piece you can equip is actually Naje's Circlet at level 28. So you see the difference required levels is quite vast. Set is packed with myriad of useful stats like plus to all skills, faster cast rate, different bonuses, attributes and so on. But its biggest problem unfortunately is actually the fact which slot it is occupying. And if you didn't realize by now, those are 4 slots dedicated to rune words. So by the end of this run, my druid will be using none of those. Because the first piece is at level 28, let's focus on building this monster and I will discuss each piece in details once we get there. So as I said in the beginning, Fire Claw is probably one of the very few skills I haven't used in this game ever. So I have really no idea how good or bad it is. But to use it, Druid needs to be in either Werewolf or Werebear form. And it is available at level 18. So let's do our due diligence and we'll most likely take it in the next act. I don't think that it will be any surprise, but my first skill will be Werewolf. It allows me to transform into, well, Werewolf for set duration, while also increasing my max life, stamina, attack rating and attack speed, and later on use certain abilities tied to transformation. Next skill will be Lycanthropy, which will improve duration and maximum life of both Werewolf and Werebear form. Before this run I glanced over some guides, all of them telling that this is a build rather for endgame and it is very gear dependent, like most of the melee builds. And in all of them it was the variant that was using Wolf instead of the Bear and only maxed Fire Claw from the shapeshifting tree. Rest were just skills boosting Fire Claw or Armageddon. Not that much was really left to boost survivability, though hard points so I am really curious how well I can fare in this run, considering I will be using two-handed weapon in the end, which is not ideal. With level 6 I will take a point into Oak Sage to further improve the maximum life of my party. Going back to my previous point, Werewolf has massive offensive potential with innate attack speed, together with Feral Rage, thus making clearing way easier, but Werebear on the other side is much tankier. With that massive increase to life, it might be something that for hardcore is a good option. Although I will not be able to use rune words later on, for now it is still worth to invest some time to get at least stealth, and maybe a decent weapon, for me and later for Mercenary to actually be able to push through. Once I got some runes I also got to level 12 and with it another skill, Feral Rage. It provides additional run speed and lifesteal while in werewolf form, as long as you are keeping the red ball alive. So it caps at 3 stacks and every now and again I will need to slap someone with it to keep that duration going. Quickly after that I got into Monastery to shatter Smith, grab the Malus and move further into the establishment and fight Andariel. And although fight is very simple, I drank some antidotes, got through entire supply of healing potions to get her down. As a reward she got me a unique ring, Nagel ring, with 22% magic find. Not bad for a start. I was also pondering which mercenary should I get, as Archer is simply not cutting it anymore. Defiance or Blessed Aim are not really useful for now, so I settled for Prayer, although none of them are really ideal. Gameplay so far is, what word would be sufficient here? Well, boring. Most of the time I'm just using basing attacks or basic attacks in werewolf form, followed by some angry swings to improve my basic attacks, and my suspicion is that even if I get Fire Claws, that is not going to change much. Going through Magus Lair wasn't the fastest, considering my awfully slow weapon, but I got my Staff of Kings eventually, and because I hit level 17 in the process, I got back to town to create stealth armor to be even faster. Now finally level 18 brings me my crucial skills. First, Heart of Wolverine, which will replace Oak Sage and provide additional damage and attack rating for the party. Second is of course the cornerstone of this build, Fire Claws, which adds additional massive fire damage while boosting attack rating for the attacks, and I am saying adding as you can see weapon damage still matters, but what will matter more is the attack speed of the weapon, and well, with some synergies already taken, those sweaty palms hit hard, and I mean hard. Main issue of this skill is that it is a single target, and while doing enormous damage, I fear that in the future it will have some same issues as Paladin's Charge. Unless you're able to kill something in one hit, it will be a struggle. But meanwhile, a unique ring mail dropped, which is Dark Glow. Shame that I already have stealth. Whack. Whack. Just before Duriel, I was about to make myself a Malice Axe, but I thought of something even better for this character. And I made Leaf Staff, Tier Ral. And although mainly targeted towards Sorceress, those 3 to fire skills absolutely applies to Fire Claws, making it even more deadlier. As you can see, the power of those Smoldering claws is just immense at this point. Together with my new shiny staff, it just obliterates the cold buggy and sends him right into the grave where he belongs. I got my Jade figurine from the very first monster I killed in the jungle, and I actually wanted to know something. So currently I have 173 life normally and 285 in werewolf. So with the potion I have 193 normally and 318 in werewolf, so this bonus is even more powerful for shapeshifter, as Druid only receives 2 health per point of vitality. Paladin's Charge build was mentioned before, and really I have a major deja vu, as currently I am just melting everything that stands in my path. With such ease, it's kind of crazy. I'm just waiting for this Castle of Sand to fall. Witch Doctor Endugu is the first fire immune monster encountered, and you can see that my claws are very much a joke to him. This is something I fear that will be very much a problem in the future, or even next act where monsters are already fire resistant. Thanks to the tier rune in the staff and the fact that I am almost always one-shotting everything, mana is not that much of an issue so far, despite each usage of Fire Claws taking 4 mana, and with my 60 mana point pool is very surprising. This might have been one of the shortest council fights I ever had. Basically I smothered all of them in seconds and watched them drowning in their own blood. And funny enough, I've got 2 set scepters drop. Grand Scepter, which is Severb's Cudgel, a very underrated weapon, and War Scepter, which is Milabrega's Rod. This one is pretty trash. Jamali is not tough enough to withstand Mephisto. On the other side, I have so much health at this point that his attacks are hardly noticeable, and he for sure notices mine as I tear through his ghastly appearance. It is a good thing that this build has so many moving parts, and skill points are very much appreciated whenever there is a possibility to get them. You want more damage? Gain points into synergies. More health? Lycanthropy. More attack speed and rating? Points into werewolf. Nothing is going to waste. Not much to talk about the smith or forge in general, as fight was rather easy and I only got a tier rune for that, so I quickly went into Chaos Sanctuary to begin my process and got Satellite Gauntlets, which are Irata's Cuff. This place is not ideal for fire damage dealing character, Almost everything in this act is fire resistant or overall just durable. There are also uniques like Vigier, who is just immune. Of course, running into Infector can have dire consequences, but it seems that while I was almost dying, Jamali finished them off and I got very nice rare gloves. Now, just before Diablo, my game actually crashed, so I had to redo Sanctuary all over again. And while clearing it for the second time, I got this amazing drop, a unique skullcap Tarnhelm. And shortly after that, I got a unique light-plated boots, which are Goblin Toe. So to boost my resistances, I took that Darkglow armor from my merc and went hunting for the devil once again. This time around I was very careful. Although lack of faster run walk is noticeable, I am not taking as much damage from his attacks. And with the inclusion of Crushing Blow from Goblin Toe, fight is over rather quickly. He dropped a set double axe, which is Berserker's Hatchet, part of what is probably the worst set in the game. Because eventually I will be using the set, ability to socket those items when possible will be major boost, although I don't think I will be using any particular inserts right away, but rather wait until I know exactly what is needed. While rescuing barbarians from the jaws of the awful monsters, a set short bow dropped. That is of course Arctic Horn, which for werewolf wouldn't be a bad option, but my staff is giving me much more power. Currently this build is rather boring to play. I'm just going into the form and spamming the attack, but I would lie if I would not tell you how well it performs, and it is very satisfying. Because it absolutely is, and especially in the act where everything crumbles under the power of fire damage. At long last, level 28 brings me the first part of the set, Nage's Circlet, and this is the most disappointing part. It has 12% chance to cast level 5 Chain Lightning when struck, adds some flat fire damage, some defense and actually very nice 15 strength, but the singular piece is rather unremarkable, so it kind of breaks my heart that I need to part my ways with the Tarnhelm. The attack got clawed to death in seconds, and I found this very nice magic amulet with +1 to shapeshifting skills. Oh my god. Witness this, my friend. As the ancients about to be absolutely trashed out of the existence, this feels almost unethical to humiliate them so hard. Aside from minions, other waves were rather fine, and Balefield itself was short. He was chunked over and over with my claws together with a side of Crushing Blow, although I must say that he was dealing a lot of damage and my supply of potions dwindled. He dropped a set long sword, Clegla's Tooth. I am finishing normal with level 31, with most of the points divided between strength and vitality. Got some synergies taken for the Fire Claws, and other than that, the rest was pumped into the core skill. Gear-wise, my merc has Dark Glow and Tarnhelm, and as for me, I am not doing half bad. Nice gloves, Nagel Ring, Goblin Toe, Stealth, Set Circlet and Leaf. I was prioritizing resistances whenever possible. Once again I find myself clearing this filthy place, for an ample reward of skill point and yet another respec. More importantly, Fire Claws are still doing God's work of this absolutely destroying everything. My current issue is lack of survivability. Sure, I can do a lot of damage, but sustain during the fight is done purely with potions. Since life and mana leech are working only from physical damage, I would love to get some more of that and at least equalize that a bit. Maybe I could find myself a nice base for spirit and some nice shield that would certainly help a lot with everything until I would be able to wear the other two parts of the set. Andariel forgot to take her vitamins and is scared of fire like a spider should be. Her shrieking cries of anguish has been heard through these halls from this day on. Jamali is only level 24 and Prayer Aura is not doing much at this point, so I hired Hassin with Might Aura to help boost the physical damage a bit. To Radaman's lair we go, and this bastard is not joking around. My god, call the ambulance. But not for me, you old pile of dusty bones. Rot in this sewer. So far I have been using either Leaf or this axe from Bale that I got, but going through Rocky Waste I found a unique claymore which is Soul Flame. It has a decent damage, attack speed and double leech and some resistances. Because I maxed Fire Claws, I decided to put 1 point into Fury, just to have an easier time with fire immune monsters. Fury is very similar to Zeal. It attacks multiple times in quick succession with increased damage and attack rating. Oh mama, this Nazi's looking for open socket Dimensional Blade drop right before Magodler, but I am missing some dexterity, so let's rectify this. By gaining some levels, and right when I was thinking of Spirit, I got this beautiful, unique military axe drop, which is Warlord's Trust, and this thing is packing. Amazing damage, some defense, additional vitality, replenished life, all resistances, and even it is repairing itself. I guess I don't need that spirit for now after all. So I grabbed myself a nice staff from the maggots, and then this amulet from the vipers, just to proceed and get enough dexterity for the spirit. But wait, I said I won't need it after all. Spirit together with random rare shield is just giving me so much more overall. More life, more attack rating, and just because of those +2 all skills, everything is boosted in this build, aside from physical damage. This is something I did not anticipate it, but I am not one to snatch away defeat from the jaws of victory, as this beautiful large charm drops and it spores +7 to all resistances. The roll started rather weird. Spirit Sword is not as fast as the axe, so in combination with a slow from this idiot, it was really hard to hit him. Then I remember I have Goblin Toe Boots in the stash. With the Crushing Blow at hand, I could now give him a crushing blow. Boy, that came out wrong. Venturing to the jungle for the second time around, I got myself a mandatory Jade Figurine fix, followed by the Kalim's Eye, and I previously mentioned I will be swapping Oak Sage for Heart of Wolverine. But so far the attack rating and damage isn't worth it, but my 1100 health pool with the Oak Sage looks beautiful. Okay, normally I am showing you only good rings from either Ormus or Akara, just not to waste time. But what the fuck is this? Are you serious? I guess you could call it the One Ring? Physical damage with the spirit is basically non-existent. Sure, it has some small elemental damage to back it up, but thanks to Fury, dealing with the fire immunities is at least somehow possible, although not the fastest. Wow, this is an unexpected drop. Usually I am just skipping Stormtree, but he gave me a unique swirling crystal, which is the Oculus. An amazing weapon for the sorceress with myriad of useful stats and just small dash of danger in the form of 25% of casting teleport when struck. Game, I wish to thank you for the Oculus, but I am playing Druid, so stop giving me the items that are not benefiting my class, like this beautiful Grand Charm with +1 to cold skills. I mean, what the actual hell? All of these dropped in the last 10 minutes between each other. Does the Matrix crash or what? So, Council. Yeah. The set Circlet is honestly known for all the bad reasons. Just the thought that it might drop instead of magic or rare one is enough to send shivers down your spine. As you already know, you are getting something bad. But for Druid, it is especially bad when you are getting something like this and you cannot use it, because some idiot thought of an arbitrary rule to beat the game with the set nobody use. Mephisto was much easier than Duriel, mostly because he does not have that pesky aura. I'm still doing so much damage with my Smoldering palms that fight is not taking more than a couple of seconds at best. He sadly only dropped a lowly unique Spatum Lance of Yagai. Beginning of the act I did a little shopping, since bulk of my damage is coming from the elemental source. I wanted a wand with lower resist charges, but for now I set it for the life tap charges. Only problem is that I cannot cast it in werewolf form. Nevertheless, it might help with sustain in some harder battles. God damn, that is some serious nightmare. Fire immune, stone skin and cursed. Dude, I don't have any more sources of damage. Quick stroll through this hellish landscape includes visiting Isuel and teaching him a lesson. Then moving to the River of Flame to spank Hephasto to get his hammer, for crushing Mephisto's soulstone to get the beautiful Lamb rune. Going to Chaos Sanctuary in Nightmare or Hell with the fire-centered build is like taking a water hose and blasting it into waterfall. Basically pointless endeavor, yet somehow I must go through this godforsaken place. Unsurprisingly, Diablo is the easiest part of the place. He takes a lot of damage, but in return he also deals a lot. So survival was my main concern in this fight. Little hit and run and this was over very quickly. Once again he dropped me a unique double axe Bladebone. I am seriously sick of this weapon, I am getting it in every single run. Normally I love bloody foothills, it's just such a nice stark contrast to what was going on in previous act. Unless I am getting combination of monsters such like quill rats and burning dead archers. Now I feel like a moving target in a shooting gallery. I thought I was the main character in this game. Not much was happening in this act, honestly. I did all the necessary stuff until the ancients, and fight with them was kind of disgraceful for them yet again. Mostly I just stood my ground and wailed at them with my blazing fists until they dropped dead. Lack of area clear is getting really under my skin, as every monster needs to be slapped separately across their stupid faces. That said, damage is still okay, even if I am under-leveled and waves are not that much of an issue. It is important to me to finish this difficulty quickly so I can farm to get some nice gear in preparation for hell, and finally start wearing that missing 2 pieces of the set. So now, with Bale gone, he of course doesn't drop anything useful. Finishing Nightmare with level 56, I put a lot of points into dexterity, since I already maxed Fire Claws and attack rating is actually very nice to have. Gear-wise there wasn't much change. I had a couple of new pieces like Spirit and the shield, new belt and ring, but this looks pretty standard. It's time to gain some levels for the set, as it would be very nice to enter the hell in all the glory. So I entered terror zones to farm, and here are some noticeable drops I got. After some serious sessions I got to level 71 and I got to wear the body armor. Despite all the requirements, this thing is very good. +1 to all skills, 65 to life, 25 to all resistances and 35% of damage goes to mana and massive defense. 2-piece bonus gives some defense and absolutely massive magic find chance based on the level. This change was actually introduced as a part of patch 2.4 of Diablo 2 Resurrected. Now some upgrades for my merc. First let's create 3 open socket armor. That is perfect, and now that Lamb rune will make some nice treachery. With that Fate proc, Hassin is set in terms of protection, but this is not the only thing that I can do. Next, some better helmet to keep him alive in battles. I love Bulwark to death. It's an amazing tool to make sure that nobody will be dying. Unfortunately, I still don't have a good weapon base for him, so that will need to wait. I hit level 74 and still have 4 more to wield the staff, but I wasn't getting much experience from the nightmare zones anymore, even on player 7. So I jumped into hell and just started blasting for its first act. Damage is immense, and fire immune monsters area cleared using Fury and Hassin. Players 1 hell gives a little bit less experience in those initial zones, but I am at least making progress in the overall run. Now only 3 levels to go. I am very curious how that overall set will perform. Awful how many fire immunes are in this act. The entire Fallen and Shaman monster class is pain in the ass because of how many there are, and on top of that they can resurrect the little bastards. In places like barracks or jail it is even worse due to the construction of the levels being so limiting. In jail level 1 I found a unique defender, Viscerat Wand. Shield targeted towards sorcerers, but other than +1 to skills there isn't really anything good here other than some defensive stats. And another drop just before Andariel. I mean, literally in her room, a set mask drop. That is of course Tarasha's Horadric crest. I really have a luck to those things. Now I am convinced that those elite zombies before the boss lady were the actual boss. Andariel got slapped a couple of times before she fell down in flames. Kind of sad. She dropped a set crown, which is Milabrega's diadem. Stony Tomb is a prime place for any fire-centric build to farm gear and experience. It is a level 85 area, meaning that you can drop every single item in the game here. And it does not have any fire immune monsters, so maybe now I can finally hit that level 78 needed for Naj's puzzler staff. At long last, I finally hit the required level, and with it the third and final piece of the set, a weapon, Naj's puzzler. For staff it has pretty great damage, but more importantly it packs +1 to all skills, 30% faster cast rate, some lightning damage, lots and lots of mana and energy, and very famously 69 teleport charges. It is one of the 2 weapons in the game together with spell steel that have teleport charges. Of course I am talking about the predefined weapons and not the magic or rare ones. Whole set aside from defense and magic find packs a lot of things. +1 to all skills, +2 to fire skills, 20 strength, 15 dexterity, 12% to maximum life, 20 to replenish life, 100 mana and 50 to all resistances. As you can see there are no green bonuses for different pieces, and overall set does not require a lot of attributes to be used, but is sure as hell some major level differences. One remark is that it is a shame it does not support Cannot Be Frozen, as it is much needed for any melee build. This game's mockery is out of charts. Right after I completed the set, a unique battle sword dropped that is Head Striker, an amazing weapon. And very next monster dropped a unique totemic mask, Jalal's Mane, which is the helmet for Druid and absolutely the best for the melee builds for him. Because I knew I'll be getting teleport charges eventually, I purposefully wasn't shopping for one. And although it is not very much needed in this place, it's still nice to know I can basically skip it, as I am vastly overleveled now. Also, it cannot be used while transformed to werewolf or werebear, so I am either fighting or teleporting around. I thought salamanders were supposed to be fire resistant, and instead they are cold immune? This is really weird, but worst thing is that these Radamant cosplayers are fire enjoyers, which is not ideal, since they are always in the backline. My excitement of getting the full set clouded my judgment, making me completely forget to use the socket quests for the gear, thus my cold resistance is kind of bad. Thankfully, that can be rectified by the age-old trick of chugging a 6-pack of Fowling Potions. With that sorted, we enter the Thunderdome once again, to put Druid to rest. Hassin with his fate is basically an immovable object that cannot be harmed by the gods and demons alike, and my damage is far too great to be ignored. Before going to town, I mean jungle, let's rectify my mistake and use Larzuk's expertise to put room for some nice runes into my staff and circlet. Now for staff, I think the best bet would be to increase the attack speed, so Shale rune is in order, and since my cold resistance is the worst out of all, full rune into the helmet it is. Amazing how with this one little change, staff has very fast attack speed, and it is noticeable. Even though most monsters are dying in one hit, the recovery and the next attack is just happening so much faster. I just realized that this is the first time in this run I encountered souls. Those bastards were hiding in hell, where they belong. Although I cannot say that they are my biggest problem, their immunity to lighting is no concern of mine. Wow, finally! After 3 difficulties you can give me something usable and actual alternative to my very own Nagel Ring. Some attack rating, 6% life leech, life regeneration and double resistances. Council for elemental builds is usually painful, as some of them are lightning immune and some of them are fire immune. But with combination of physical attacks and crushing blow, there isn't much resistance from them, and well, what do I see? A unique Grand Charm, Geet's Fortune. My god, drops in this run are insane. Mephisto is nothing more but a mandatory speed bump that I have to roll over in order to progress. Couple of slaps to the face and Prime Evil is down, and he dropped a slew of items. A unique Grand Crown, which is Crown of Thieves. Set Cuirass, Haemosus Adamant, and a set long battle bow, Vidala's Barb. You might have noticed that I skipped Radament in Act 2 and Ruined Temple in Act 3. I am killing Usual only because he was right out of the gate and he wouldn't leave me alone. Fine dude, I will put you down. Hush now. Now praise the teleport staff. Praise be. Of course, immediately after this place becomes much more awful than ever. Just because devs hate fire builds in this place and 2 out of 4 monster types here are fire enjoyers, making them completely ignore my sweaty palms. While I was clearing this abyss, I must have missed the drop, and only when I was coming back to the Sais, I saw a unique partisan on the floor. That is Pierre Tombal Koan. That will certainly be an upgrade for my mercenary. Speaking of this idiot the Sais, I think this was the most annoying fight with him ever. He was extra fast, I don't have Cannot Be Frozen, so he was just running around slowing us down and casting the Crepify, until I was able to pin him against the wall and slash his stupid face. After 30 minutes spent in this establishment, I finally was allowed to fight Diablo. Bosses are no longer a problem at all. Most of the time I'm just focusing on surviving. As I mentioned before, life does not leech out of elemental damage, so there is some downtime before I am striking and slashing down again and again. Lord of Terror is dead, so it is time to deal with the real threat, Shank. And he's gone. With him the Siege, so now I can claim the final socket quest and put the perfect diamond into my armor for additional attack rating, since I don't need anything else. I skipped over almost all of these acts as per usual in Hell, just to get to the Ancients, and they were surprisingly very tough. In my first attempt I actually ran out of potions, so I had to start over. Next attempt I was looking for anything but fire enchanted, cursed or any pesky aura. So once I got that, those 3 were inseparable. The took me 10 minutes just to drag away Corlick in some nice cozy corner in order to assassinate him. Once he was down, Talik could focus his attack on my Merc while I was dealing with Madak, as he had stone skin, so it was a perfect opportunity for my Fire Claws to shine. Last was Talik, and at this point it was just smooth sailing. Just a lot of high fives into his face, making the boss barbarian a statue again. Yeah, Bale Waves are bad, but you know what is worse? Getting dolls in front of destruction playing hardcore. It becomes such a chore to get through, especially if you get them near Bale, where there is a possibility of Akmel and his Unravelers to just resurrect them. It is so good to finally arrive at this place. Not like this was very hard, as this build really surprised me in terms of how good it is, but somehow I was playing this for a very long time and didn't really have a good gaming session to nail it. But at long last, I beat Bale in what I could say was pretty normal fight, and only strange thing is that he didn't summon his clone even once. He dropped a set ancient armor, which is part of Mila Bregas, and I think I found every single piece in this run. My setup by the end. I put a lot of points in strength and dexterity just to hit things, maxed Fire Claws and Firestorm, also almost Molten Boulder, but because I wanted attack rating and health, bulk of the points went into Werewolf and Lycanthropy too. Gear-wise, my Merc is stacked. Aside from the weapon and me, I have some very nice pieces from normal, like gloves and boots, some random pieces, and of course Naj's set. Like previously mentioned, this build really surprised me. It was far better than I anticipated, and if I wasn't using the set, also really easy to gear. Only problem that I had by the end was the constant lack of attack rating, as hitting things was, I would say, rather inconsistent. Of course, I could swap for Merc with Blessed Aim, but then dealing with fire immunities would be much harder. That said, I really recommend to try this one. As for the set, holy hell is it powerful. I know it is targeted more towards sorcerers with that Blastus fire skills, but you know what? It was completely fine with this build, since the staff has a lot of physical damage already, but it could be easily done with the Fire Druid too. Of course, I prioritize using Fire Claws over anything else, but in a pinch, Fury together with Might and that staff were pretty convincing to pass as a physical damage dealer. What really shines about this set are the changes introduced in 2.4, that maximum 12% to life and absolutely huge bonus to magic find, which as you saw worked wonders through the entire run. Thank you very much for watching. This is the first but of course not the only video of this new year. Stay tuned for more games and gaming challenges. Like it if you liked it and subscribe for more. Challenger departs.